So I have a quick question for everybody in the audience real quick. So, real quick, do you guys like pain and suffering?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yeah, me too. Now, it's kind of funny to watch this a couple of days later, instead of whenever you are actually doing the event in question. And also on a shitty day, aka Wednesday, which is pretty much the worst day ever for all Guild Wars. In fact, I kind of wish Wednesday wasn't even a thing for Guild Wars, because that's the day that Smilegate also likes to do all of their fucking updates. No shit. I hate Wednesdays. I despise everything about Wednesdays. So you know what? We haven't even said anything about the team real quick. Let's actually talk about it real quick. This is Ocean Breeze, Luluca, Destina, and Lone Crescent Bellona up against a Lilias, that's Red Lilias, a Senya, and then a Ran. Now, the Ran is also on RNL. RNL is a wonderful little artifact that a lot of the community likes to call Ran Never Fucking Loses, because he never fucking loses. You know, it's only like a 15 to 20% chance of him getting that extra turn, and it seems to happen, every fucking time you fight him. So, because of that, the main reason that I did a whole bunch of fast-forwarding in the first place was because I can't bring back Lone Crescent Bellona, period. I couldn't bring her back until the Ran was dead, or I was forced into a corner to do it. And, naturally, I was forced into a corner to do it, and this was also a very, very shitty play. I should have never used the S3 into the Senya, because my dumbass monkey brain always seems to assume that I have, like, Roana with me at almost all times, anytime I fight this shit. So I took a lot of extra damage, and that Lilias has Ancient Dragon Legacy, which also means she has crit damage buff, and she's borrowing the attack from the Senya, so naturally, I just got motherfucking cleaved. Woo-hoo-hoo! I'm fucking good at video games. But anyway, on to the next fight here. The next fight is actually very, very simple. It's Shadow Knight Pyllis, Roana, and ML Landy, Candy, Clandy, Nandy, whatever the fuck you guys decide to call her. I don't know what everybody's calling her yet. You know what? Just for the sake of being really, really cringe and offensive, we'll call her Clandy. Yeah, I love me some light units in the clan. Come at me. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, this team in question is probably some of the most basic bitch shit that you could really ever do, because we're fighting a Conqueror Lilias, a Belian, and then a Choux. So, the only real, like, honest-to-God kind of threat on this team is actually the Choux. The reason why the Choux is a threat is because she can do shit like that. Like, that's an absurd amount of damage to go through a def-buffed and fucking, like, willpower maxed Pyllis, which, that is absurd defense. And she went through the defense buff that I have, along with all the willpower that I've stacked, and still did, like, 5k damage and through, like, a barrier. And also, hey, yo, she also, you know, crit me through my crit resist whenever she did that first attack. Because, you know what, like, fuck rates. Like, who gives a shit? Whatever. Like, hey, that's the fun of whenever you get to use good old Clandies. Everything is all about rolling dice. Woo! But either way, we've made like a fairly decent dent into the team, and in all honesty, when I did this on Wednesday, I was so fucking hyper giga mad. As soon as the Choux was dead, I'm like borderline like just hyper pissed to the point where I don't want to play the game anymore. I just want to hit auto. I think you'll eventually see me hit auto at some point whenever I'm doing this, because after we've dealt with the Choux, all we have left is Belian. Yeah, the Belian's on injury, but she's not doing enough damage to actually be like an honest-to-God threat. And just, you know, Clandy doing the insane fucking retard damage that she does, with attack down, by the by. Whatever. Who gives a shit? You just do crazy fucking retard damage, and Shazam, the team is pretty much already completely broken, and they can't do shit. Now we're left to, like, just Belian, and here is where pretty much I think I decide, okay, I'm just gonna auto. There's nothing that this team can do to really beat me at this point. Yay, hooray. So, one other thing I wanted to talk about on that Ran team, on the last team, One, that was like a horribly bad idea on my part. I brought 2 green units in Lone Crest and Bellona into something that could possibly RNL. I think it's because it was Wednesday. I was very short on time. I didn't really feel like I had a good idea to go into it. But there is actually a very, very good team that you can use to go into Ran teams, especially Ran teams like Ran, Lilias, and Senya. That team is Inferno Kawazu, Rimuru, and, oh goddamn, who was the last one? It was Inferno Kawazu, Rimuru, and, oh, Edward Elric. Because the only thing that you really have to worry about at that point is if you get Death Broken and whatever, and your Ed is just not tanky enough and he just, like, gets one-tapped by the Ran. But either way, we'll see that match later. So now we're on to pretty much in one of these other standard teams that I see a lot of the times. This is Conqueror, Lilias, Mercedes, and this time Apocalypse Ravi. So, okay, if you're going to use the Conqueror, Lilias, and the Mercedes comp, what I'm going to always do is I just go into my default Senji strats. So with Senji strats, I go in for turn 1, I'll buff my units, in this case going to be Zahhak. Unfortunately, we're going into a fucking death-buffed Mercedes, so we do not kill. Unfortunately, that's bad. But, thankfully, we have Doris with us. The reason why Doris is with us is just strictly to tank any and all hits from the Apocalypse Ravi. But the other cool thing about Doris is her S3 also has a very, very big CR boost on it. So I use that to go into my Senji. She's going to be the next one in line. And then she'll always pull whoever has the highest attack whenever she has Immortality. We'll use that, go into Mercedes. Shazam. Now we don't have to worry about Magic for Friends anymore. Hoorah! We're practically pretty much free game here to win. So all we have to do, get rid of the Conqueror. We don't want to have to be dealing with a lot of extra damage going into the Sinful Angelica, because straight up, that Apocalypse Ravi ain't going to be doing enough damage to be a legitimate threat to Doris. Doris is just the queen of the fucking light bait. She can take so much abuse from fucking dark units. It is absolutely fucking crazy. She's been this way for years. Truly amazing unit. Love her to death. And now all you have left is pretty much Apocalypse Ravi. I have my S3 available on Zahhak, and if this did not kill, she would also be massively injured, doing even less damage to the Doris because she's an HP scaler. Shazam! The match is over. Hoorah! And then, once again, we're going in with a good old Landy team. So yeah, once again, this is Shadow Knight Pyllis, Roana, and Landy herself. And we're going up against a Red Lilias, which I'm seeing a lot of Red Liliases lately. It's actually getting kind of weird how many of these I'm seeing. So Red Lilias, Choux, and Senya. So here, I think I was so tilted from the last match that I'm just going ham-hocks wild into the Lilias. Like, I think I was so pissed that I wasn't even processing what the fuck was going on, because the Lilias has already used her S3. There's no reason to actually go into her. My options could have been to go into either the Choux or the Senya, which I even can't remember what the very beginning of this was like. I can't remember if either of them had immunity or not, but the smart decision is to really just go into the Choux. The Choux is the only unit that can really fuck your shit up just if you happen to get any kind of unlucky nature roll, any kind of unluckiness in general for any of your stuff. It's the only thing that can really fuck you up really, really bad. Mainly because, you know, yeah, she's going to be going into, like, either your Landy or she's going to go into your Shadow Knight Pyllis, and, well, if she goes into the Landy, she has a 30% chance of critting her because Landy has a 70% crit resist just innate that's on her kit. And she's also going to possibly go into your Shadow Knight Pyllis. Your Shadow Knight Pyllis has a metric fucking shitload of defense. Not going to take a whole lot of damage. And because I have Rocket Punch on her as well, she's my backup unit that deals damage just in case anything were to go wrong. And she's also my Light Cleanser. And hey, would you looky there. Didn't take very long at all, and that team is already reduced to rubble. Woo! That's another match. I cannot express to you in words how angry I was during this whole Guild War. Now, here is probably where my anger just compounded to a point of, like, I don't want to fucking play this game anymore. So, normally, if I ever fight a Lua Senya Choux team, I almost always, and I do mean almost always, fight this with Roana, Shadow Knight Pyllis, and Christie. I use those 3 units. The main reason why I use those 3 units is because if you have Shadow Knight Pyllis in the back, you have Christie on the team, and you have Roana with you, this shit's free. 100%. It's free. I'm not even fucking with you when I say it's free. The reason why it's free is because you never have to worry about the Lua def breaking your Shadow Knight Pyllis if you have enough effect resist, which with that team comp, I have like almost 100 effect 300 effect resist, because I have 150 base, I gain 60 just for having health that's over 70%, and then I also get an additional 100 from Christie. So Def Break is a thing that just straight up doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. Now, in this particular case, you're not going to have that guarantee against Lua, and you will actually see some Def Breaks. And also, hey, LOL, 30% crit. So that one attack right there was my death warrant. That was the death warrant. If that Choux did not crit me right then and there, I think I would have been okay. Because if she happens to crit with her S2, just because that pierces defense, doesn't matter like how thick you are, she does big damage with that. And after I got hit with that one big hit, I just straight up couldn't recover from this. Especially because I'm getting hit by additional damage. And additional damage, even if you have like somewhat decent defense, that shit hurts. And if you're hit with it constantly and over again, it's just going to start adding up. Additional damage will really start to go through your walls pretty fucking effectively. And that's pretty much what happens here. Yay! I cannot put into words how pissed off this GuildWar made me on Wednesday. I just can't. Like every bad thing that you can imagine happened. Like RNL ran shit on your very first fight. You know, Choux doing Choux things. Just, you know, all that wonderful shit. So now we have to go through a Lua Senya Choux without Christie and with the possibility of being crit by the Lua. Because any Lua that's worth their salt that has like somewhat decent effect resist, if they have decent effect resist and they just, you know, they roll right, they'll hit you with that def down. And if you get hit with a def down on your Pyllis, it's almost game over. Sure, you will almost always have def buff, but like then at that point, the Choux is doing neutral damage, which you straight up don't want. You don't want that bitch to ever be doing neutral damage to you, because her damage values are so pant-shittingly retarded that you're just gonna fucking die. like I've got no other like delicate way of even saying that. Just that damage that you just saw right there is me with, you know, like 4 stacks of will and with def buff still taking that level of damage. Could you imagine if I didn't have def buff, or God forbid I didn't have def buff and I had def break? Holy fucking shit. Now, fortunately, I'm pretty positive that I do still have my my S3 that's available, and I keep that sucker on hand at almost all times, just in case that were to happen. Like this is the whole point of why I keep an S3 as free as possible whenever I have multiple souls, is if I'm going up against a Lua and I don't have confident effect resist, like there's just a very damn good possibility of you getting def broken. And like right here, now my Roana is taking like a lot of damage, so the main tank is now no longer Pyllis. Like, so this is where like shit gets fucking nuts if you don't have Christie here with you. Now, when you do have Christie with you, you also have Christie on Aureus, and because she's on Aureus, she just straight up tanks a little bit of that damage for everybody on the field. And any and all damage that you take on your Pyllis, it's just going to be not as much damage. And, you know, those little bits of numbers do in fact add up, and it really, really helps you out. That's why, like, anytime I go into a Lua, Senya, and a Choux, I always usually bring Shadow Knight, Pyllis, Roana, and Christie. It's just, I've run it enough times that I think I have legitimately lost that matchup. I'm not even fucking with you. I think I've lost that matchup once. I think I've lost it once. And the only time I think I ever did was, like, your only lose condition is if the Choux just goes absolutely fucking crazy on you, or you're straight up fighting something that's weird. Like, let's say you're going into, like, a 200 effectiveness, like, Senya. Something that you almost never see. They do exist, though. So, that was, like, the only thing that I think, like, threw me for a loop, because then I was, like, getting provoked, and, you know, shit like that. Those are, like, the only real big crazy ass things that'll like really just throw you for a loop. And then of course whenever you have that information, or your guild mates actually give you information like that, then it's like, oh okay, then I'll just do whatever to fight this in any other sort of way. So like, when it comes to fighting Lewis and Choux, you can do Benimaru shenanigans to this because they're utilizing extra turn mechanics to you. The only reason why I almost never bring Benimaru, especially to Lewis, Senya, and Choux, is because Choux is there. If Choux gets any turn after, like, she's done her S3 and you straight up survive the S3 because you have just even a little bit of bulk, after that turn, if you don't kill that Choux, you're fucking dead. You're just dead. But then you also have to deal with crit resist, and Benimaru doesn't have extra crit on his kit. The only thing that he has is, I think, I can't remember exactly, but multi-layer barrier gives you accuracy, but it doesn't give you extra crit. So if you can't deal with a Choux, like on turn 1 or anything like that, then I would never bring a Benimaru to a Lua team. And that's just kind of how I do it. Oh, goody. So here we have, I believe this is Archdemon Shadow, Savior Adin, and Spirit Eye Celine. So this is extraordinarily basic bitch stuff right here. For starters, we have Yulha on the team. Yulha's rocking the protection set for just like a little bit of damage mitigation that the Savior Adin's going to do onto your Dark Corvus. I'm also rocking Aureus just for the extra damage sharing that we're going to be doing, because it's really the only other way that she's ever going to have low enough HP to possibly do an S3. I, in all honesty, don't even think S3 even happens in this fight. And then she also has Redirect Provoke, which really, really does kind of work out in your favor, because then every enemy's going to go into your Dark Corvus if you happen to land Redirect Provoke. However, this right here was a mistake. It's not detrimental to the point where, like, oh, I'm going to fucking lose, but it's really just going to slow us down just a tad. If there was anything that I should have done, it was to not use the attack on Yulha to the Archdemon Shadow, because the reason I did that, oh hey cool, now the Archdemon Shadow went into my Dark Corvus and now I'm sealed. Now if Dark Corvus is sealed, then he can't get his cooldowns up by taking hits, because that's what his S2 does. So that just, totally slowed me down. Unfortunately for us, though, the Spirit Eye Celine's going to do more than enough fucking damage just going into us non-stop that we're going to have our Devil's Descent yet again. And the other cool thing about Dark Corvus against Archdemon Shadow is that when you do get Devil's Descent, it's not going to, like, be hard for you to kill this unit. Yeah, this is a 17k, like, Archdemon Shadow, but the damage reduction that she actually has that's on her kit is only applied to if she is being hit with a crit. So, well, hey, Devil's Descent doesn't have a crit. Whoops. So, yeah, the next chance that I get, I'm just going to straight up kill this Archdemon Shadow, because even when you burn that shit, you do so much goddamn damage that it's just, well, hey, lol, whatevs, you're dead. Because it's almost 30k. I'm legitimately kind of thinking about actually giving Dark Corvus Prayer of Solitude. The only reason why I'm not doing it yet is because the light metas that we're fighting are so fucking astronomically ridiculous in the damage that they do that I just don't feel safe doing a Prayer of Solitude on a Dark Corvus. You could absolutely do some fun shenanigans with it, but, like, I don't know, Proof of Valor just seems like it's way too valuable on a Dark Corvus, which is another thing that I kind of hate about my Shadow Knight Pyllis, is I would love to bring Shadow Knight Pyllis into more Savior Aidens, but, like, holy shit. Some people have been rocking, like, mad fucking crazy ass torrent sets, and whenever you have like a crazy ass torrent set on your Savior Aidens, you very well might die, because you don't have your extra defense from will stacks on Shadow Knight Pyllis in the very, very early game. You have to be hit a few times, and if a Savior Aiden ever has attack buff, you run a very high risk of getting killed, especially if that Savior Aiden is on Sword of Cycling Seasons, because that's even more damage against your Dark unit. So, like, that's probably the only reason why, for, like, anytime I see Savior Aiden, I usually just default go straight into Dark Corvus, and then I'll usually bring some kind of damage mitigator and then any kind of, like, healer to go along with it. And it usually works extremely well. And the reason why it works so well is just because you have a fucking nuker that does extinction shit, who also just is tanky as all fuck, and then you have healing and damage mitigation for it. It's really, really hard to contest against a fucking Dark Corvus. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go on ahead and leave a like if you liked it. If you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe. Is this it?
Here comes a new challenger!
Surprise, surprise, motherfuckers! We're not fucking done yet! We're gonna keep going! So, this was the other Guild War that I did on Friday. Now, this was a significantly better Guild War in the sense that I do things in it that don't make me want to do bad things to myself. So this was just more of a fun one because we fight another Ran in this Guild War, and then I do that strategy I talked about a little while earlier, and it works without a fucking hitch. It was fucking great. But hey, starting for this first round right here, I have Spirit Eye Celine, Dark Corvus, and Yulha. Now this is kind of interesting. One, we have Dark Corvus here to specifically tank the hit from the Savior Adin. We have Spirit Eye Celine here to, one, provide immortality, and to fight the Ravi, and to trigger the Eye Winter. That is actually all on purpose. So here we've taken a very, very hefty amount of damage, but we haven't been controlled yet. And because we haven't been controlled by any means, we are free to go into any unit that we wish. And I saw the opportunity to do it. I decided to take it. I used the S3 on Yulha to just straight up kill the Savior Adin. Now, all we have left is Apocalypse Ravi and the Eye Winter. So you're probably thinking like, oh, okay, so everything's like working out really, really well in your favor. Yes and no. So yeah, I got countered right there because I didn't take enough damage from the Savior Adin to already have Devil's Descent. Kind of sucks that that's the thing, but we are extraordinarily safe. The only thing that can really go wrong in this case is if that Ravi were to ever crit me twice, because I have Aureus on me as well, I'm taking even less damage from the counterattacks that she's going to be doing onto my Spirit Eye Celine. But hey, thankfully for us, we had Devil's Descent, we had 10 souls, so we could soul burn. We did a decent little bit of damage to the Ravi. Even though we had just a tiny little bit of injury on us, we still did a lot of damage, and we were able to kill her. And then all that leaves now is Eye Winter. I saw an opportunity where I could have hit S3 if I wanted to. I just said, it's probably not worth it, because like Yulha's on Aureus, so any hit going into her, like after the immortality's up, she'd probably die. So hey, cool. There's that round done. Now for round numero dos. So we're going up against a Zio, a Belian, and an ae-KARINA. Oh goody. This just feels like a wonderful boss fight right here, wouldn't you say? So what I decided to do here is I'm going to bring 2 Soul Weavers in Last Rider Krau. Now, the plan was Last Rider Krau is the fastest unit on the team. He's going to get hit by the big fucking boy damage from the Zio. Thankfully, I have Tywin's artifact that's on LRK, so that reduces all AoE damage that's going to go on him. So the Belian did not kill me. Thankfully, that didn't happen, so now we're able to really start going into the team. We haven't even used our S3 yet. Thankfully, we are now able to do it here. So we have ae-KARINA going into Shuna. We have enough effect resist to where we're not going to get utterly blown the fuck out. And I think we also managed to land a few sleeps here, just because we don't need to be hit too terribly much as of right now. We want to prevent Belian from attacking us as much as humanly possible, especially if we don't have a barrier up, because this is a Belian that's on injury. So that's pretty much the biggest thing that we're wanting to try and prevent. Now, if we have a barrier up, hell yeah, I want Elbrus to proc, I want some fucking Belian hits to go in, because anytime Belian's going to go into me, and I have a barrier up, well, you're not going to break my barrier on my LRK, and my LRK is just straight up going to be able to use his S3 even more. And thankfully, Roana's there, being unbelievably based, because every time Zio hits you, that is an attack and an additional attack. That will proc Vigilant Eye. Vigilant Eye not only heals you, but it also provides a shitload of CR boost if you always observe the left side. And it is fucking invaluable. I love Roana, man. Like, it's actually, honest to God, kind of hard to put a lot more value on a lot of other Soul Weavers in the department of healing when Roana does so much work when it comes to healing. Like, I'm kind of baffled that the only other means of like anti-counterattack tech that we even have is like Astromancer Elena, and I don't know, maybe I'll get around to building her one of these days. I just don't really want to. Like, I mean, I've heard a lot of people have had good success with Astromancer Elena. I just don't like the character. I don't know, man. I just don't like her. Something about her just annoys me. Maybe it was because whenever she was first released, she has like absolutely atrocious voice acting where like the modulation was out of fucking control, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to fucking hear this over-modulated shit. I'm good. I don't want to use this. I mean, that's kind of like a really stupid, petty reason, but it's like one of the big reasons of like why I use characters. Like, hey, why do I use the characters that I use? Is it just because they're meta? No, it's because they're extremely useful and they hit all the pleasure centers of my brain in terms of like, oh, hey, cool, this is nice. I like this presentation. But either way, now that we've dealt with the Zio and we've dealt with the ae-KARINA, now all we have left is the Belian, and right here I'm just playing a little game of like, hey, can Lucent does get to Krau S3 before death? And it's gonna be close. But we do it, boys! Woo! I win again! And that is that match. So, get ready for the fucking fun shit, because I think the fun shit's going to start right now. So I got to go through this mad fast. So this is Ran, Lilias, and Senya. We fought this earlier, except this isn't an RNL Ran. It actually wouldn't really matter if this was an RNL Ran because of what we're about to do. The worst thing that could possibly happen is if it was RNL and I had Death Break on my Ed, he could possibly kill me. My Ed is tanky as fuck, though. So what this does is whenever you're hit with debuffs, I'm pretty positive Ed takes priority and he'll always do equivalent exchange. Then with that, you'll also proc the Inferno Kawazu. He's going to cleanse himself, so then he's safe. And then that will also proc the Rimuru because the Ran attacks you with a buff. Now, because of that, this Ran was on Silver Rain. So I saw an opportunity. Hey, that means that the Senya has attack buff. I'm going to steal that shit, then hopefully inflict Death Break. It did. So this does fucktarded amounts of damage, and now all we have left is Ran. So, very, very clean. Like, took 5 turns, and we were able to beat this Cancer team super, super quick. Woo! Next. Now, this is some more typical kind of shit, because like, hey, lol, I really like Savior Adin. I like fighting you with triple light shit. And that's basically what I've been seeing a lot of. I've been seeing a lot of light spam. Can you fucking believe that I still haven't seen a Landy on defense yet? Can you fucking believe that shit? I still can't. I find it baffling that I still haven't found one on defense yet. Because, like, the unit is kind of cracked for defense because she's an RNG nightmare. You would think, like, because that's, like, the general rule of any time you fight any kind of defense, period, is, hey, if there's RNG on the kit, it's usually really, really good. Like, the only reason why you don't see Rem as much anymore is because, like, there's a lot more kind of, like, decent answers to Rem, especially like what we were talking about earlier with Astromancer Elena. Astromancer Elena just straight up makes Rem do fucking nothing. And what you can also do is if you just have like decent effect resist or whatever on your team and you go in like, let's say Roana or whatever, you could bring even like AoEs with you, and every time she'll attack you, you'll just fucking get heals from the counterattacks. I mean, like, there's a lot of different ways that you can fight Rem, but, like, when it comes to, like, you know, Landy, there's not very many ways to fight her. Like, you could probably do some Inferno Kawazu shenanigans to it, or any and all, like, non-critical hit attacks. I don't know, man. I haven't had the opportunity to really fight her in a GuildWar setting yet. I feel like it's going to be mad fucking crazy-ass Cancer, but, like, I don't know. We'll get there whenever we get there. But either way, for this team, you guys have probably already figured it out. So we're going in with Roana as a means of, because I saw this was going to be Spirit Eye Celine. Yo, there's going to be fucking Dust Devils out the fucking wazoo. I just know it. It's going to happen. She's going to Dust Devil me like fucking crazy. So, hey, we'll get a little bit of healing going for us because of every time that she's going to do an additional attack. We have Unbound Knight Arrowell there, who, like, Unbound Knight Arrowell into these kind of light teams isn't really as useful as you would think. Like, you would initially think, oh yeah, that sounds fucking crazy-ass annoying, because, like, hey, they got barriers, and they've got damage limits, and all this other shit. But, like, honestly, if you fight this with a fucking Dark Corvus, holy fucking shit, he farms the whole fucking team. And whenever you have Yulha with you as well, you're going to straight up mitigate a lot of the damage that you're going to take, so you don't take too much damage. And like, you also have a provoke that's on you as well. Like, we have 2 different forms of provoke on us, and that's going to be going into Spirit Eye Celine. Now, if I wanted to, one thing in particular I could do, if I had a faster attack buffer, which, in all honesty, there's no reason as to why I don't have a faster attack buffer. That's just me being lazy. I could bring any fast attack buffer, Arunca, and, like, whoever the fuck else I want. Probably, like, a Dark Bait or something. And you could use that to go into this team to just fucking annihilate it. Because even if a Savior Adin is on a team with a Unbound Knight Arrowwell, if she has a barrier on her, which, you know, that's going to show up on the light team guaranteed if Unbound Knight Arrowwell's there, that's pretty much free in terms of doing damage. Like, it's free. You will kill that fucking unit. And even if you miss, because you will do so much damage, because Savior Adin has, like, pissant fucking terrible defense, and usually terrible HP as well. So, she's dead. And then you also have additional attack shenanigans with Arunca that after the Spirit Eye Celine has lost her invulnerability or immortality, yeah, one attack into Spirit Eye Celine will kill her. Like Arunca would absolutely destroy this team. I just, you know, I wasn't thinking about it. Like, anytime I see Savior Adin, I usually like to just go Dark Corvus immediately. I'll try my best to remember to use Arunca again to fight this. I need to get a faster, like, attack buffer. I gotta get that shit fixed. Now, welcome to the fun, boys and girls. So we have Abigail Yum Yum, Yulha, and Little Queen Charlotte. Now, this is actually a mistake on my part, because we're going into a Jacko, a Straze, and a Zeo. Now, guess who was the dumb motherfucker that forgot what Chains of Charon does? That'd be me! So what this did was it provides a random debuff, like, to the whole team if it hits somebody. Like, at least I'm pretty positive that's what it does, because then I just got stunned on my fucking Yulha. So now Yulha's stunned and can't actually take an action. And because of that, we take Ori's damage right there after we've lost our immortality, and now Yulha's dead. So Yulha did basically nothing. Fortunately for us, we kind of just thought this through of like, hey, what if Yulha goes down and we don't actually have a means of, like, doing anything? Well, thankfully, I brought Little Queen Charlotte with me. I took a fair number of hits here, and she has just enough Hell Cutters to where it doesn't really matter. We do enough damage, and shazam, the Straze is dead. Ooh woo. Now, onto the fun match. So, this is still probably the defense team that I hate the most, because this is Ahmed. It is Savior Adin and Briar Witch Assyria. No, I'm sorry, not Savior Adin. We already fought that. This is Ahmed, Kisei, and Briar Witch Assyria. I fucking despise this team, dude. And also, this motherfucker is rocking 2 DPSs. That is not like a control Briar Witch. That is a motherfucking damage Briar Witch. So, the big thing about this that I'm trying to do is, one, I want the Kisei to go hard into my Terranor Royal Guard. And if, because like right here, that was a miss. Because that was a miss, she doesn't take reflect damage. Because that's how Terranor Royal Guard works. If you wanted to really buff Terranor Royal Guard, all they'd have to do is just straight up get rid of his requirements for you have to crit him. Because if they did that, this unit would be absolutely fucking cracked for defense just to go into, like, really, really strong units. Because then any hit into him would do massive reflect damage. Because it's 50% of the damage that you take. The only real caveat, like, the big thing that you have to remember is you have to have, like, high enough HP. Because, like, way back in the day, there used to be strategies with Terranor Royal Guard where they would have him at level 1, and he would just have, like, no gear on him. And they would just throw him into shit with immortality provided by an SSA. And that could absolutely wipe the other fucking team out. Now, you can't really do that anymore. And right here, I'm already very worried because, holy fuck, I've lost everybody but my Ocean Breeze Luluca. Fortunately for me, we did enough damage to the Briar Witch, so now the Briar Witch is dead, and we got rid of that skill null on her a little bit earlier, so now all we have left to do is we just have to fight Ahmed with Ocean Breeze Luluca. Now, thankfully for Ocean Breeze Luluca, we actually do have a means of healing. She can't heal any other fucking way other than having Ice Cream buff and being hit with it. I personally really hate that about her, but there's really almost nothing else that you could really do to buff Ocean Breeze Luluca without it feeling kind of fucking ridiculous. Like that's what's like odd about Ocean Breeze Luluca is she's balanced, but it feels like she could use like that one little bit more of help. Like, maybe just a little bit more to, like, use it in your favor to just, oh, hey, cool, like, this works in this way. Like, maybe if, like, Special Delivery did a little bit more damage, or maybe if it also provided an ice cream buff, because it would make sense, at least. Hey, you're driving an ice cream truck. Hey, cool, you just get another ice cream buff. Maybe that would be, like, a really effective buff for Ocean Breeze Luluca. Just, like, because anytime I'm using her, I have to bring another healer. I mean, I either have to bring another healer, or I have to have, like, a team that is just ludicrously retarded in terms of, like, the damage that they can take. So, you guys have probably already figured it out. Like, yeah, we're going to win. like there's no way that this Kisei can win now. But the one thing I'll ask you guys, if you're paying attention, how many ice cream trucks do you think you see? Like, just how many Luluca special deliveries do you think happens in this fight? I'll go ahead and I'll give you a small hint. It's in the double digits. I'll tell you whenever we get to the end, because I know how many it was, but it's a lot. I fucking hit this bitch with so many ice cream trucks. It is crazy. And it's one of the biggest reasons as to why, like, she just feels like she doesn't have enough to be useful, which makes me think maybe her on counter isn't the right answer. I thought, like, her being on counter would be really handy, but it's kind of maybe starting to look like maybe I should actually have her on speed. Because I think you need turn cycling more than you need using the ice cream truck. Because like that's the only reason that you're gonna get ice cream truck is anytime you attack, you'll gain a stack of focus, and whenever your focus is maxed, that's when special delivery happens. It's like I'm not sure how I feel about it. It feels kind of like counter set is not actually the way to go if you want to use Ocean Breeze Luluca. It kind of feels like you need to be rocking speed set or possibly revenge. Revenge, not as good, because Revenge needs absolutely cracked-ass stats, and anytime you're low on HP, especially if you don't have a reliable heal, probably not the best of ideas. So, are you guys keeping up? How many ice cream trucks are we at? Because we're not done yet. There's still like a few more ice cream trucks left. But, yeah, that's like my biggest thing that I have with Ocean Breeze Luluca, and maybe it's a gear gap thing, maybe my gear just sucks dick, I don't know, but I think you can get more value out of this unit if she's rocking like a speed and effect resist set, because then when you're rocking a counter set, you have to have absolutely fucking ridiculous ass gear. By the way, how many trucks was it, boys? I'll tell you now, it was 10 motherfucking ice cream trucks. But yeah, like I was saying about Ocean Breeze Luluca, like when it comes to Ocean Breeze Luluca, like I don't know, look, feel free to tell me in the comments like how you have yours built. I've had mine on counter for a bit. I've recently like updated the counter set a little bit so she has more def. But like I'm not too happy with it. It kind of feels like you should have speed. Just because, like, counter doesn't really help you that much. Maybe it would help you if you have a metric shitload of ER, and then you could actually use Celestine. The only reason why I'm using Soul Constellation is because that's free effect resist, and it also helps her move down the CR bar even more, because anytime a unit is using a non-attack skill, like, her natural CR as well as Soul Constellation just kind of stack together, and then she fucking zooms down that sumbitch. But I just kind of find it just doesn't feel like it's enough. Like, I mean, yeah, feel free to tell me, because whenever you're rocking counter set, like, it's hard to get all the stats that you need. Like, it fucking sucks. But either way, yeah, feel free to throw out any and all, like, build suggestions or whatever in the comments. I mean, I read every comment, guys, you know me. And I hope you rather enjoyed this Guild War. This was a so fantastic double feature. Like, I don't do this very often, but it was mainly because my week was like an absolute clusterfuck. Like Tuesday, I fucking died. I just went to sleep. And then it fucked me all up because like all of my stuff was like out of sync in terms of whatever. But Hey, at least I managed to get it out. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, hey, go ahead and leave me a comment, and if you like any of my stuff, please, go ahead and leave a like. It really, really helps me out. It does a lot for my mental health, makes me feel like a lot of the things that I do actually matter, and if you want to see more of my content, please, go ahead and hit subscribe. I would greatly appreciate to have more of y'all checking my stuff out. Hope y'all have a good one. Are we actually done this time? Okay, we are. Alright, later.